Hi, it's Anna Mason, and in this mini class I'm going to show you how I went about creating the fuzzy effects to these velvety peaches using watercolour. Let's take a look.
I began, as always, by making my outline drawing and then painting the lightest tones in the composition, starting with a very watery grey wash to the shadow. I let that completely dry, then still with a very watery paint consistency, I mapped out the lightest tones in the peaches, which were a yellow towards their stems, and a greyer colour around the fuzzy edges. Even though I'd be painting over this layer of paint later in the process, I used a stippling brush technique at this early stage to lay the foundation for the velvety visual texture I wanted to create. Once that was dry, I mapped out the more orange colour areas, still with a watery paint consistency, making stippling and squiggling motions with my brush. I left little gaps through to the lighter colour beneath to keep building up a fuzz effect. Next, making sure the surrounding areas had dried, I painted the lightest tones in the little woody stems. With all the colour areas mapped out, I was then in a position to begin building up more form through lots of watery layers. I began this stage by painting the darkest tones in the peach on the right, though I was careful not to take them too dark because these peaches have quite a narrow tonal range. Working along the tonal range, I painted the next darkest tones wherever I could see them. Again, I stippled and squiggled, leaving gaps through to the lighter colour underneath to further build up the fuzzy texture. With the tip of my brush, I feathered my brush marks into the surrounding colour areas. I darkened the more yellow areas in the right peach, and then gave the peach on the left the same treatment. Now that the peach on the right was dry, I applied a greyish watery wash as a glaze around the fuzzy areas, always making sure the paint beneath was dry. I continued making tonal adjustments and gradually darkening the other colour areas in the right hand peach, which started to give it a more solid look. I did the same to the peach on the left, and with a smaller brush I then made another round of tonal adjustments to both peaches to bring them into balance with each other. As before, I was using stippling and squiggling techniques, trying to leave gaps to the lighter layers underneath. Although I really wanted to keep on adding fuzzy details at this stage, I knew I now needed to darken the stems, which were the darkest parts of the whole picture. So I worked on those next, using the tip of my brush to capture the details I could see. Now I needed to bring the shadow into balance, so I cleaned my palette and then applied a dilute purple-brown mix. Once that was fully dry, I darkened the shadows some more, slowly building up layers of watery paint and making adjustments. This step really helps show off the light coloured edges to the peaches, adding to their velvetiness. At this point, I took a step back from my painting, which helped me to see which areas I wanted to further darken. Using the same techniques as before, I worked my way around, adding more tone and texture by leaving gaps through to the lighter layers. Once I was happy with the tones overall, I could then indulge in adding fine details wherever I could see them. This stage is so satisfying and meditative. The final step was to get out my white gouache paint and add in a few fine fuzz details for an extra level of realism. For these, I used the very tip of my smallest brush and made little random squiggle marks. Once I felt my peaches look fuzzy enough, my painting was finished.
A full video class of these peaches is available now in my online school. If you've enjoyed this mini class, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, then visit annamasonart.com where you can take full-length video classes for free and find a whole heap of resources to help you capture the beauty of nature on your paper. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.